Okay, time to talk about Module 11, which is collaboration in and across teams. So team communication in the workplace. The value of teams in business communications. Why do teams exist? Why do your professors make you do group work from time to time? Well, it's because teams bring together members of an organization with a wide variety of skills to achieve a common goal. Organizations accomplish these goals by carefully selecting the type of team they use. So what are these types of teams? First is cross-functional teams, task forces, I guess, virtual teams, and self-managed teams. So some teams and team dynamics. What are the advantages to teams? Well, there are many. First of all, you just get more ideas, or people look at it perspectives, have different perspectives of things, which allows them to brainstorm more ideas. The disadvantages to team, well, there's always that one person who doesn't hold up their end of the work, and that's a problem. Group communication networks, reporting structures avoid information overload and maintain a good flow of information. Organizations should consider the various types of structures above and then modify them based on the employee's need to know, the timeliness of the information needed, and communication tools available. This is a perfect time right now with this pandemic going around about group communication connections. For example, the college getting us information to instructors as well as to students. That's our little network here. So conflict resolution, what are some sources of team conflicts? Well, people have egos. That's always one problem, and people are adamant about their specific team. They represent their constituency, so that could definitely lead to team conflict. What are some symptoms of team conflict? How destructive conflict can be avoided? What are some solutions to conflict? How do teams prevent damaging conflict? What is the best way to resolve it? All good questions, which we're going to go through in the chapter. Collaborative projects. Now, I'll be honest, I do assign group work to a lot of my classes, but I would always rather do it on my own. I would rather write a 30-page paper on my own than a 10-page paper with a group, because it's just, the dynamics can be difficult. But employers want this as a skill. It's very important that you be able to work with people. So decision making in groups, decision style theory. This theory examines the context for decisions across two continuums. One side relates to the decision maker's tolerance from an uncertainty to certainty against the relationship task accomplishment. The four quadrants here represent four decision making styles. So there's a spectrum that we can look at for decision making in groups. Do we come to consensus? Are we voting? Do we compromise, or does authority rule? Where you present your information about the group to me, but yet the decision is mine alone. Some tools for communicating with groups. Meeting scheduling. I was in charge of a big project here at the college at one point for our accreditation, and I always used the calendar and Outlook to schedule our meetings, so it automatically went to each person, and it also gave me a response. If they said they couldn't come, I could look it up and say, oh yes, John Doe said he couldn't come today. So using technology can be very helpful. Quick conversation, you can use tools like Slack, Google Hangouts, etc. Email, conferencing, project management. We'd like to get all together, but it doesn't always work out that way. Collaborative writing projects where written works are created by multiple people rather than individually. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. Basically, you can have a wiki where people come together. You know, people always think Wikipedia, but there's more wikis than that. And there's a wiki function here in Blackboard that you can use for people to work together on the same document at one time. How the writing takes place should be determined by the following: individual writing style, the length of time to the final product, and expertise in the subject matter. One of the great flaws that I see in collaborative writing is that each person takes their little section and writes it, but nobody puts it together besides cut and paste. You have different writing styles and different voices, and you have to make sure that the work flows. And I think that's the biggest problem in collaborative writing. So what tools, what program are you using? Microsoft Word should be capitalized. I apologize for that. Track changes allows users to change their changes to be highlighted so you can see that. Compare documents. The original document and the edited document can be placed side by side. Google Docs, multiple workers can work on a single document. And Dropbox, which you should be familiar with because I use it a lot here in this class, is more focused on file storage and retention, which basically I'm doing a collaboration with you when I post a document to Dropbox where you can access it. So it's basically storage for you. So workplace etiquette. Interaction in the workplace, aspects to consider: your attire, your body language, handshakes. We're not shaking hands now, but maybe fist pump or elbow pump, whatever. Eye contact, gestures, the volume and location. It should be written communication. Should it be on time? I just did a webinar today, and people were joining the webinar 10, 15 minutes in, and it's distracting because it dings every time somebody comes in. So it's very important, even if you're a virtual presence, to be on time. Company events, external events, conversation starters. Have you always lived in New York? What brought you to work for Niagara County Community College? Introductions give people a way to enter the conversation. The basics: leave your phone in the car and don't chew gum. No one wants to see your gum, I promise you. Use table manners. Alcohol and marijuana keep your intake far less than the legal limit when you're at a function. I don't know of anybody doing marijuana at a company function, but maybe for pain, we'll give them that, okay? So when in doubt, err on the side of greater formality and respect. So no alcohol, no marijuana. Internal events, conversation is at your responsibility to meet and greet others that have been invited. Are you the person in charge there? Introductions, look for individuals who are alone in the crowd and introduce yourself to them. The basics: don't get too comfortable. You need to remain professional even among your coworkers, and when in doubt, err on the side of greater formality. So the quick review: be aware of both the advantages and disadvantages of teams. Be aware of the different decision-making strategies: directive, analytical, conceptual, behavioral, and always maintain professionalism with your interaction at the workplace. That's our module.